Well, after that last video, I was going to come in here into the shop and make a bunch of little bifaces, but I can't seem to bring myself to do it, so I'll just make another video. Yep. I went into the house, cleaned up a few things before bedtime. It's bedtime very soon. And then I was going to come back out here and work on some bifaces, but I didn't want to. So I stuck around in the house and just piddled around and said, you know what? I'm not going to be able to do those little bifaces, so I'm just going to come out here and do a video. Yeah. Now this is a piece of heat treat, some of that swirly Georgia chert. It's got inconsistent areas in it. Like this stuff here is not the same as this stuff over here, is not the same as this stuff here. It looks pretty cool, but it's not easy to nap. So I figured, you know what? I'm going to do this one. Yeah. I say that a lot to myself. You know what? You know what? Just going to do it. It's heat treated to 425 degrees, I believe. 425. Although I have heard that this stuff will heat treat at lower temperatures than that. So I may have gone a little bit high, but it seems like it's okay so far. When you heat treat it too much, it gets all kind of too weak and steppy. And it feels weird when you nap it, like it's made of weird glass or something. I'm trying to come up with a way to describe when it's overheated, because a lot of people have no idea what that means. How do I know if it's overheated? I have no idea. Yeah. If it's just too weak. And sometimes it'll have little cracks inside too. It's overheated. Yeah. It should require some effort to make these flakes. It shouldn't be way too easy. It shouldn't crush on the edges too easy either. Sometimes when it's overly heat treated, these edges will just crush and you won't be able to get anything to travel. You got to be able to hit it hard and have flakes travel without smashing the edges. So this feels fine. In fact, it doesn't even feel like a heat treat, but I can tell there's a difference in luster. And of course the color, you can see as I'm peeling off flakes, you can see the difference between the yellow and the reddish. It turns reddish when you heat treat if it goes up above 400. If you're down below 400 degrees, it stays about the same color. But as soon as you go up above 400, it changes. 400 is the sweet spot for most heat treat, and that's been scientifically tested also. So if you look into the science behind heat treating, they've already conducted many tests at 400 degrees. And the results are in, you know. A lot of times with a lot of this stuff, especially chalcedony, C-H-A-L-C-E-D-O-N-Y, chalcedony. The chalcedony will heat treat to 400, and you only need to maintain that heat for 1 hour in order to achieve the desired effect. 400 degrees for 1 hour for chalcedony flakes. And that goes for many other cherts and flints. That's like, I think that's the baseline. It's like the average. Maybe not a baseline, but an average, a good average. 400 degrees Fahrenheit. Some will heat treat below that. Some stones will heat treat above that. And what I mean by that is, yeah, you'll get results at 400 for many stones, but some of them will not knap right. You need a certain range, certain temperature for it to feel right. Thermal alteration has to be not just an alteration in the stone, but something that makes the stone knap easier. Easier includes not breaking really, really easy. You know what I mean? Something that breaks really easy in half is not easy to knap, even though the flakes come off really easy. If it breaks in half easy, can't make anything out of it. Yeah. So in that sense, it's very difficult to knap. Yeah, I've been using a lot of electricity lately. Heat treating all this stuff. Yep. It's warming up, so the turkey roaster doesn't have to work as hard during warmer weather. A lot of this heat treat was done when the temperatures were down in the 40s and stuff. And I have my turkey roaster in my shop. So it's not a heated shop. It's not a weather controlled or environmentally controlled shop. So there you go. Costs less to heat treat in the summer. Yep. Unless your shop is heated. You lucky devils if you got heated shops. Of course, this is Texas. It's not too bad to have a shop that's not heated. It's not too bad at all. I was running the space heater just 2 nights ago, and tonight I can't do it. There's no way. I'm in a t-shirt tonight. You got weather fluctuations like crazy in March. Yeah. Anyway, how is this coming along? I don't know if I like it. This is really inconsistent right here. I feel like putting it back in the heat treat, but then it might get too delicate. See how that's all concretey right there. Concretized. I don't know if heat treat will make that any better. It's really, really nasty. Yeah. I just gotta try to blow through it, right? Maybe, hopefully. It's risky. If you just try to blow through things, it gets risky. Yeah. I had to hit that really hard. Some of these might make some really cool little pendants. Little arrowheads too. Pendants don't have to be shaped like arrowheads. You can make little square pendants or little round pendants or little heart-shaped. I was asked if my kids do any flint napping. I've got 2 daughters that are interested in flint napping, and that's it. Out of 6, 2 out of 6. But they're not doing it because they're doing other stuff. This really has to be treated like a like any other art form, you know. It's not like a recreational activity like skiing or boating or something like that. It is a recreational activity, but it's more of a focused activity. It's not all spastic. It's very focused. I guess some people approach this like some sort of very active activity, but I don't. I can't just go to town, although I have been known to go to town on the stone and do a bunch of bifaces very quickly. I don't always get good results that way. So sometimes I have to slow it down. As you know, if I'm not filming, I will nap faster when I'm not filming. I mean, that is true. And it's almost unnoticeable. I don't really notice it until I actually watch a video. Like, I think I'm talking slowly in some of my videos, but when I watch the video, I'm talking fast. But I'm thinking, I'm trying to slow down in my mind, but it's not coming out that way in real time. I'm feeling like I'm being slow, but my speech is fast. So sometimes I feel like, yeah, I'm taking my time napping, and then I realize I'm napping extremely fast. So yeah, it depends. I guess it depends on how focused I am. And I've been thinking about that a lot lately because of the hand axes and the origins of Flintknapping. How did humans start Flintknapping? And what does it say about our brain development? I keep thinking about that part. And I got to think about it logically first. I think about it logically first, and then see if there's any evidence that would contradict these logical statements. Like, for instance, in order to flint knap in a more advanced way, I think the brain needs to develop better cognitive abilities first before you can flint knap in a more advanced way. You can't all of a sudden be better at flint knapping and your brain catch up later. No. Something has to cause your brain to advance and have better cognitive ability, and that then is reflected in your flint knapping. But it seems like a lot of researchers these days come to the opposite conclusion, that there's some kind of leap in the technology, the stone technology, all of a sudden, and that leads to an opportunity to make your brain better, either through better food, better victory in combat, better mate selection, or I don't know what it is. Something, the item that you're making is more advanced for some reason, even though we have the same brain power, I guess. You make a more advanced item, and that puts you in a situation where your brain develops better. It's the opposite, right? I think that doesn't make any sense, because you have to start out with the assumption that you're going to make something more advanced with the same brain. That doesn't make sense to me. You can't make something more advanced with a brain that doesn't have any more computing power. It's just the same old brain. How can it comes up with something better? You gotta have a better brain before you get a better tool or a better Flintknapping technique. It's not the other way around. Now, can your brain develop a better technique without going through the process of becoming sharper? Is there like an accidental way that you all of a sudden have a better technological result accidentally, and then you're able to copy that non-accidentally after that? I don't think so. I mean, I suppose it's possible to come up with an accidental advancement, but to keep it going, you have to keep that accident going. And it's not possible to keep an accident going. It's an accident. It's a fluke. It's like luck. You can't just keep luck going. Let's say luck allows me to fluke this whole thing from base to tip if I take a flake. That's luck. You can't keep that luck going. Now, if I have an advancement in my brain power, I can figure out how to flute that from base to tip and keep that going once my brain is able to do it each time. It doesn't depend that much on luck. In that scenario. So I think there was other things involved in our advancement, our brain advancement, other than Flintknapping, to allow us to advance in our Flintknapping and stone tool technology. There are other things involved, and I think one of them was diet. A change in the diet was it gives the brain a better foundation for thinking with the certain brain chemistry because of diet. Specifically, having more protein in the diet and more fat and cholesterol in the diet to build brain tissue. Because a brain can be built over time with more access to brain building material. And I think there is a correlation between higher brain capacity and brain size. Anyway, I'm not an expert on brain development. I just know what I can observe from actually doing this, doing the Flintknapping. And knowing the limits of my cognitive ability. My ability to understand how to manipulate the stone. Sometimes I just don't get it. And no matter how I try, I just can't get better at a certain thing. I just don't understand it. What is that thing, you might ask? Yeah, the pressure flaking thing with long, narrow flakes. I can't seem to develop a technique that's compatible with me. I always fatigue myself to a point where I can't continue anymore. when I'm doing the pressure flaking. It could be just a physical limitation, but it might also be I just can't figure out a way to pressure flake those big long flakes. I can get short, consistent ribbon flakes, but the long, consistent ribbon flakes, I just don't get it. I've tried over and over. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I'll keep trying on it. I would like to do videos on how to make long, narrow ribbon flakes consistently over and over again, because a lot of points back in the day were made that way. I can get a few long, consistent flakes, but that's it. 3, 4, maybe 5 in a row, but that's it. Eventually it breaks down because I'm depending a lot on luck, I think. All right. Yeah, I'm depending a lot on luck here too, because the way I'm hitting it, a lot of times will cause a radial fracture, break it in half. I'll break it right where I'm striking. In this case, it's almost halfway down. See, this area here is not allowing me to run flakes. Not the way I'm doing it anyway. It should be. I don't have much trouble with other pieces like this. See that one okay. I'm afraid to abrade it more than I'm abrading it right now. Yeah. That's not good. Some of you might be saying, that's what it looks when I nap. That's what it looks like when I nap. I know. Thick and narrow. I know. That means there's difficulty in napping it when it gets thick and narrow. If it doesn't break. Let's see. Maybe a smaller tip. Maybe that tip's just too fat. Sometimes a more concentration of force or a higher concentration of force will work. Yeah, that's not bad. We'll see. We will see. That could be a fluke. No, I think it's not a fluke. I think maybe the other tool was too fat. Yeah. All right. I'm having to add pressure to it also. Pressure assisted percussion. I've had to add pressure and then strike it. Not only with the smaller surface area on the tip of the tool, but added pressure. pressure assist, which means that's highly concentrated force in a small area. Pressure. And then a hard strike in a small area. It's getting a little lopsided though. Yeah. I need to lose that concrete anyway. Now, some of these areas are not that hard to knap. It feels just like a heat treat. But in other areas, like down here, it feels, and right here, it feels like it's raw. But luckily near the tip, it does feel like a heat treat that's working well. Yeah. The hardest thing to knap is inconsistent material. No matter what it is, the hardest thing to knap is inconsistent material. It's just merciless. There's no good formula. You just gotta hope for the best. You can't stick to a certain technique. There's different techniques for each area on here. Like sometimes I need a lot of abrading, sometimes not too much, sometimes it doesn't matter. Like near the tip, it doesn't matter too much on the abrading. It naps just fine. But down here, I gotta abrade like crazy. Yeah, it does have to do with larger flakes. You are gonna have to abrade more with the larger flakes. But still, it's just a huge difference. Yeah, see, and I don't know why it does that. I think it's inconsistent with the different colors. Yeah. Like the darker color right there napped easier than the lighter color. So, you know, I'm getting a step fracture in the lighter color. And you can tell there's a difference in consistency when you're napping and you get a flake and one side of the flake flaked fine and the other side crushed or stepped. That's when you know you have inconsistency. That's when you know for sure. Like what happened up here. The part that's darker ran fine, but right next to it, it stepped fractured and it got all weird. So that's how you can see for sure that there's a difference in consistency. So I've got to add pressure before the strike and hit a relatively small area on the tough spots and then strike normally on the other spots. But yeah, that does get to be subconscious. Even something that different, you can still do it subconsciously. Yeah. You can adjust that much without really thinking about it. Now I'm also paying attention to the overall strategy. What is best first? The worst is not always first. Sometimes the symmetry helps to decide what you're going to nap. Go for symmetry rather than attacking the worst first. And look for the symmetry. Make sure you're maintaining it, because it's easily knocked out of whack if you're not paying attention. The symmetry can be knocked out of whack. Yeah. This is substantially more narrow than when I started, but it's looking a little more consistent. I don't know about thinner. The flaking is not very attractive on that side. It just looks like crushing and not flaking. Doesn't look like flaking. It looks like interesting material. But yeah, you can't cut with that. It's all sandstone, it looks like. Or limestone. It's limestone, it's not sandstone. Let's see. Yeah. Wait, this snaps just like our local stones that I can find in the dirt roads in the alleyways here in town. There's stone you can nap in town, but it's this exactly like this stuff. It's limestone that's partially silicified. It naps just like this. And yep, you can make arrowheads out of it, but it's so poor that just napping a few pieces gets you sick of it right away. And you go, no. Rather do bottle bottoms than this stupid stuff. I'm not talking about this. I'm talking about the local stuff we have in our dirt roads locally. Yeah. And there's a lot of nice chert not too far from us. Of course, it's on private property, but if you can get near, if you can find a spot that's near a road cut, once in a while you'll see a cobble that's usable. Some good Edwards Plateau chert or Callahan Divide chert, something like that. Anyway. Even though this is difficult to nap, I still like this Georgia Jasper or this swirly chert. Yeah, I do like it. Yeah, it does. It does follow the rule, though, that, you know, the pretty stuff is harder to nap. This one certainly does follow that rule, at least this particular piece. I say particular because not all pieces are the same. Just because one piece naps a certain way doesn't mean it's all going to nap that way. No, no. It's never consistent. You woodworkers out there, you know that wood's not consistent, right? Stone is worse. Oh yeah. Yeah, the woodworkers know just because it says walnut doesn't mean it's going to act just like the walnut you just worked with. Yeah. Same goes for stone, but it's worse. Yep, in many cases. Not all cases. You'll get some that's very much the same. But you can't depend on it. As soon as you do, you're going to break stuff. As soon as you depend on, oh, it's going to be the same as the last time, you're going to start breaking it. You have to approach everything like it's a brand new day. Pretty much. If you want to be safe. Yeah, that's not good. I tried to dig it in because I wanted to go further, but it didn't want to go further. Dang it. Why do I keep making it more and more narrow? I'm trying to thin it down. That's why. I can leave it thick. Finish it quicker by leaving it thicker. I'm trying to thin it down. It's not working all that great. And I'm also trying to put an attractive look on the surface with nice flakes. Yeah. It's not cooperating. Should probably make the edge more perfect, but man, it takes time. This snaps really well down here. Yeah. It takes time to make the edges perfect. Some people, it doesn't take them any time at all. They can done. Perfect. Legs come off nice. With me, it takes me forever to get it perfect, to get the perfect edge. I'll be napping there all day. And sometimes I lose a lot of the edge trying to make it perfect. I can't just go perfect. Nope. Every time I look at it, it doesn't look right. Let's take a little more. Still doesn't look right. Take a little more. Nope. Not right. Still. Never looks right. Because it's either I'm going to make it look perfect, or what am I doing? My brain's saying, you know, what are you doing? If you're not going to make it look perfect, just hit it any old way. If you're going to make it look perfect, make it look perfect. So I've got those two extremes going. That's the way I nap. That's the best way. Yeah. It's not the best way. Have I ever said I nap the best way? I hope I did not say that. I hope I've never said that I nap the best way. I have given advice on what's the best way to nap this and that. I have given some advice like that. Mostly what I say is use copper. Oh yeah. I don't give technique advice. I'm showing you my technique that works well for me. And it works well for many people, apparently, since I see it catching on a lot. A lot of people were resistant to it in the beginning. Didn't want to do it my way. They thought to themselves, there's got to be a different way. I mean, yeah, it works, but don't want to. Looks weird and odd. So, you know, they tried other ways. Eventually, they made their way back. How do you do that again? What do you do? What do you do? Where do you get the tools for that? Make them. Okay, if you can't make the tools, what are you doing Flintknapping? Tools are much easier than Flintknapping. Making the tools. I say that because I don't want to make them. I don't enjoy it at all. Oh God. Yeah. Talking about cringe. Just thinking about it. Yeah, it's that bad. I like the result. I like having a nice new tool. Feels good. Sweet. That's the part that feels nice. I got a brand new tool. It feels really good. Where'd you get it? Made it. How'd you make it? With lots of sweat and torture. Okay? It's just a simple pressure flaker. Yeah, that's what you think. Just stick with a nail in it. What's up? What's the matter? That pad is just a piece of wood with leather on it. What's up, man? Yeah, I can see that. And I understand it all. But when I go to make it, I'll look for any excuse to do something else. Yeah, now you know the secret. Yep. That's what happens when you just don't enjoy doing it. Look for any excuse to do something else. And it's so simple. So how am I going to get rid of that lump? I'm not going to be able to get rid of that lump. Yeah. I don't think I'll be able to get rid of it. That one flake that led to that lump. Because see, on the other side, I got to shoot through concrete. I don't know. It's so small now. I think I'm just going to trim it up and then put it in with the broken bifaces. Yeah. It's going to be a grade B. Grade B biface. Just be done with it. At least do the tip nice and sharp. Stuff up here doesn't put up too much of a fuss. Although it is a little bit steppy too. There we go. All right, good. All right. It's a grade B. Grade B biface. It's not the best grade, although it's pretty. It's one of those pretty things that's hard to nap. Golly, it's all wonky. Come on. It's not that bad. Yeah. All right. We do expect a little cooperation every now and then, and sometimes we can get it. Sometimes. Sometimes. Yeah, the tip needs to be sharp. Yeah, and it was not easy to do that tip. It does feel like a heat treat up there, but there is inconsistency between the different colors. Unfortunately, there is a difference in consistency, so I'm thinking it's going good, and then I hit a spot that's not consistent. It just doesn't flake the same. Seems like it should run along flake and it doesn't. Or it seems like it'd be a short flake and all of a sudden, ooh, it hadn't ran a long flake. Yeah. It's not easy. So I'm just taking off the dull spots and removing a lot of the deltas or the spots that are kind of out of alignment. You know, you want to try to straighten out the edge at least a little bit. Yeah. Looks pretty that way. Instead of all serpentine. Consistency looks kind of good. That's tough, that other concrete area. I got rid of most of it. So yeah, I gotta watch out for. I've got some more that looks just like this swirly chert with these different colors in it. Looks beautiful. And it'll probably make nice pendants and stuff, because you can make them thick. Pendants are good to make thick because if you drop them, they don't break as easy, and they don't look bad if you dull the edges either, so they don't cut you or they don't irritate your skin. If you got dull edges on a pendant, it's good. That way it doesn't irritate your skin with all the sharp little edges. Yeah. And you're going to braid the tip too, so it doesn't poke you. That's a really delicate tip there. Yeah, I couldn't thin that down. I tried. That flake didn't go, and that flake didn't go. So now I got a lumpage. Lumpage right there. So it goes in the brooks and bifaces, but it still looks cool. It's got a, mountain tops or whatever. It's got some water down here. Got some swirly clouds in a dark sky. It's a sandstorm sky and hills. A little bit of water or something down here. It's a landscape. What's it like this? What is it this way? Nothing. What's it this way? Nothing. I like it like this. That looks like something to me. Yeah. All right. So that's the thumbnail. I'm going to put that side up. Some of those flakes that came off, I'm going to collect those up and stick them in a box. They'll make nice arrowheads. Little bitty ones, but they get some nice patterns. Yeah, these flakes are cool. No, I'm not going to make little arrowheads on video out of these. You crazy. You're crazy. Why are you crazy? Those things snap so easy. You know, I do maybe 1 out of 4 of those. It makes nice arrowheads, but you know, you snap three out of 4. So 1 out of 4 becomes an arrowhead with those guys. Those little bitty, extremely thin flakes. Yeah. You get used to it. That means you got to be napping them for a week in order to get good results. You know. All right, so I'm going to sleep now. I'm happy that I got this. I've been curious of what this would be like to nap. I tried it raw and I said, man, this is not going to work. So heat treating is better, but this did not improve much from the raw state. This limestone stuff, it improved somewhat, I think. I don't know, but yeah, I like it. I like it regardless. Yeah, I do. Regardless of its inconsistency, I still like it. Yeah. Alrighty. There you go.